an area known for its prestigious universities, the Research Triangle, and Raleigh-Durham, just outside of downtown Raleigh, is Cary, North Carolina, where Dave Sarakin has led North Carolina FC to a fantastic start, unbeaten in their first 8 at home. And tonight on Wednesday Night Soccer, they welcome Loudoun United for the first time. Hi everybody, Mike Watts, Devin Curran. Call for this one. Devin, you know, North Carolina this year, all else equal, has been better than they were last year, but you're going to show that literally when all else is equal, they have proven to be better than last year.
2 different coaches, 2 different philosophies. Let's take a look at 2018 on the left side of your screen. This is Colin Clark's unit. A lot of one-on-one situations that got them into trouble. Notice the back line, discombobulated all over the place. Even a trailing run by the speedy Stephen Miller can't get things done. Well done by New York Red Bull to impose their will. Let's transition to 2019. Dave Sarakin, different philosophy. Likes to have the ability from a chemistry standpoint to pass players off and shut spaces down. That's exactly what goes on here. Initial threat doesn't happen. You rotate back around, a line of 5, a line of 3. Include the goalkeeper, 9 behind the ball. The only option, try to dissect it to the corner. Can't get it there. DJ Taylor steps over, clears it out.
Same locale, same team, different result. Meanwhile, Loudoun United, new coach Ryan Martin steps in. They've played more wide open since then.
Fun to watch as well. Very technical players. Doesn't matter the age. You've got Kyle Murphy up top. You've got 15, 16, 17-year-olds running around on the field for this team. It does not matter. They are efficient in the final third. The key question here is, when they get out in front by 2 on a team like St. Louis, can they close out? If they go on the road against a team like NCFC, can they find a way to come back? We have still not seen a full 90 minutes from Ryan Martin's youngsters. That's what he's looking for tonight.
Yes, will it come on the road tonight? Loudoun United has as many as 6 games in hand. They're just 23 days from opening their new home. Well, North Carolina is undefeated in their current home. North Carolina Loudoun coming up next. Welcome back to Wednesday Night Soccer. North Carolina FC, Loudoun United FC. Loudoun in its first season in the championship. North Carolina FC now is 8 games unbeaten at home, trying to knock off this Loudoun side. We meet the starting lineups for tonight's matchup. And we begin with North Carolina FC. Devin, Dave Sarakin making handful of changes. Al-Badawi, McLeod, Christo, and Wapawo move into the starting 11. DJ Taylor back from injury as well.
Keep an eye on Wapawo. He's going to be an interesting one. He's gotten an opportunity in the U.S. Open Cup run to make some moves in the middle, but never at league appearances. So now he gets his first one. What does he do with that? Very big, number 6, athletic. They call him Wapa. He's like a dump truck going forward, but does a good job really controlling things up top. Cristo still finding a way to get things done in the absence of Mario Slomas. If they're going to find a way on the offensive side to get things going for Loudoun United, it really has to come from two interesting ones. One is going to be Kyle Murphy, veteran player of sorts. A guy coming out of Clemson, highly touted, doesn't get drafted, goes to RGV, scored in a decent amount of games. Got lost in translation under Darren Powell. He needs to be the focal point up top to let players come off of him. Christian Sordo, let's start with Baltimore Armor, then to DC United, back to Baltimore Armor. Stay with me, back to DC United. He will not be in the 11 tonight, but this is a guy who was a top 150 player in the country under IMG standards and was a best 11 in the Eastern Conference Developmental Academy. Still a massive amount of talent behind him. Love the back four. Love the front six. Nyman, Martinez, Sinclair, Presley, all of these guys have worked really well together. Once again, they need to finish a game off. They can show you 60, 70 minutes, but to play with the big boys, got to put together a full 90.
And Dewey is back in North Carolina where he featured last year, starting in the back. Well, Loudoun in red, they'll move left to right. North Carolina in blue, right to left. Wednesday night soccer returning to its typical day of the week. Have my calendar all kinds of messed up. Both teams featuring goalkeepers that did not start last time out. Darren McLeod's third start of the season for North Carolina FC. Callie Brown's seventh. Underway, Wednesday night soccer from Cary, North Carolina. NCFC taking on Loudoun United. Loudoun sits 13th in the Eastern Conference. They are the highest of the 4 expansion teams in the East at the present moment. It's most impressive is that while they are a half dozen points away from the 10th and final spot in the playoffs, Devin, they have 6 games in hand on St. Louis, and they finish with the vast majority of their remaining games at home.
Only played 14 games overall so far, Loudoun United. Couple that with quite a few on the road to start the season. Coaching change, all of that. They're still relevant. Richie Williams departing to become an assistant. England Revolution. Now an opportunity for Ryan Martin to just continue to polish this glorious resume of his that seems to start at the ground level, and this meteoric rise has finally made its way to a head coaching position within this USL Championship squad.
Ryan Martin still pretty young. He was a highly celebrated assistant to John Harkes, and they had a top 4 finish in the Eastern Conference their expansion season. Credited with helping to put together that roster alongside Harkes. Loudoun pushing into the final third, the affiliate of DC United in the USL Championship, and so the vast majority of the players you'll see on their roster are of the academy variety and the pathway to pro that USL Championship often represents. It's turned over, came through the legs of Sinclair, comes all the way back to Sadavia.
You ask Ryan Martin about that, and he takes great pride in what this organization has done so far, but from a composition side of things, he's one who has really given the correct tutelage to a lot of these youngsters coming up through the program. Guys like Griffin Yao, who seems to be getting a lot of the press recently, but even Antonio Bustamante, who has made a homegrown this year. Guys that he's seen since the 14 and 15-year-old age bracket. He's nurtured that, given them the opportunity to come through, and now just can you make that step to the next level?
Then you saw the literal polar opposite in the head coaching experience on the other side. Dave Sarakin, for about a year's time, was in charge of the U.S. men's national team. 65-year-old Sarakin getting his 4th head coaching assignment of his career, collegiate MLS with the national team. Hawkins. Pushing forward Sinclair. Knocked out by Dewey. Ryan Martin named the DC United Academy Director in January of 2017. He works in concert with the DC United staff, Dave Casper, Ben Olsen, and the technical director for Loudoun United, Stu Mayers. Tack on here through Bustamante. Sinclair, and a pick Taylor's pocket. Comes to Nyman. El Martinez. Presley. Ball comes to Akeem Ward. Presley drives the cross. That's cleared away from Murphy. And it results in a corner on this 89-degree, 60% humidity night in North Carolina.
A little brisk.
Is that brisk?
That's brisk, baby. I'll take it. Guarantee these youngsters are excited to come on their own. Beautiful venue, lovely pitch, and have a little go with the boys in blue.
Corner Loudoun. Lifted away by Sinclair. Already gotten away. Foul came from Iwolo. Ward went down. It's a heavy challenge. Spees. Now Nyman. All the way back to Brown. You mentioned those great early RGV teams. Kyle Murphy was the leading scorer. Callie Brown was your first choice goalkeeper for a while there. Presley, that's handled with ease by Duvernay.
For Kyle Murphy, just never truly understood why it didn't work out there. I understand in the sense of maybe he's brought in, throw him in the 9 position up top. Let's see if he can be the out-and-out goal scorer and give him a shot to move into the Houston Dynamo under Wilmer Cabrera. So that experience doesn't go your direction. But why not try and find a way to maybe utilize him a bit more efficiently? This is a guy who, again, I believe he was misused. Yes, he plays in the 9 spot, but he's not going to give you the bulk of your goals. He is right now under Loudoun United in what you've seen. But his job, stretch the back line, hold up play, allow guys that can get down into the channel and play off of him. That's when he's at his best. He's great in the air as well, and he's pretty decent from set-piece opportunities. He's not someone who on a regular basis is going to drop 15, 20 goals in a season. But he did show you that just above 20% of the time, he can hit the back of the net. There has to be a spot for him somewhere on a roster.
Presley unloads, knocked aside, diving header, Murphy over, and McLeod comes up with the stop. Murphy was offside in the end.
This is one of the looks that we were just talking about where ball comes back inside, he stretches the line, checks away, and then creates space in behind him. That allows Connor Presley to come across his body, have a go against Darren McLeod in goal. And he's offside on the second opportunity, but once again, that's the Kyle Murphy that we were just talking about, where he's not always going to have the ball at his feet, but he does so much more off of it that allows other players to explode going forward. That's why he has been a bit more instrumental this year than in his 2018 campaign with San Antonio FC.
Turnover forced by Nyman, and it's pinged beyond Kyle Murphy. And McLeod will pick it up. His 3rd start of the year. For Swope Park Rangers in the Sporting Kansas City organization for 2 seasons to the USL Championship final. Ultimately beat Swope Park 2-0 with North Carolina earlier this year. It may have been a revenge game for him, but it was funny. Dave Sarakin goes revenge against the DC United. This is not DC United, it's Loudoun United. Didn't really buy into the idea that being the former coach of the DC side during some really great times in their history, as a couple players go pirouetting off one another, it's enough to create a revenge narrative.
That was shot down quite rapidly. Wrong tree, bark, other one. We figured that out. But no, Dave Sarakin's a good sport, and you would never know chatting with him. And this is a respectful comment in a good way, that he has coached at the highest of levels.
Yeah.
He is so polite, well-spoken, and ego is not something you will associate with Dave Sarakin. Always willing to open up to you.
Trying to bounce it through for Iwolo, and there is a foul outside the penalty area drawn by Stephen Miller. And a free kick for North Carolina in excellent real estate.
Another one of the spots that can get Loudoun in trouble as well when you have young players trying to figure out the system and exactly where they fit in. This is Nelson Martinez holding midfielder, rotating back over. Doesn't necessarily need to go to ground here and get stuck in on a tackle. I don't mind the pressure, but stay on your feet. You had good composition behind you with the back line. Allow it to develop a bit more before you leave your feet. That's what a coach will tell you. Last thing you do is go to ground. Gets him into trouble. And now, one of the more difficult ones to navigate for Callie Brown, with it being so centrally located just outside the top of the 18. Good striking opportunity for multiple boys, as you can tell.
See who comes out of this caucus ready to shoot. Will it be Iwolo? No, it's Cristo! What a hit by Robbie Cristo. North Carolina leads with a magnificent goal.
Talking at the starting lineups, we said that in the absence of Lomas up top, Cristo stepped in quite nicely. One area we had not seen him explode in was these set-piece opportunities. Many a men wanted to step up and achieve the glory. Only one could have it. Cristo decides, that'll be me on this day. And just like that, 3 goals in 14 appearances for the big man up top, who stepped in quite nicely. Saw him do well in the Open Cup run, but now an opportunity to truly showcase his talents.
By number 18. I say Robbie, you say Cristo. Robbie.
Cristo, born in Bosnia and Herzegovina to Croatian parents, grew up in St. Louis, went to that outstanding St. Louis Scott Gallagher Academy. It is essentially now tied at the hip with St. Louis FC. Went on to St. Louis University, had a great run with the Billikens. Was actually the first Billiken since Brian McBride to lead in goals and assists all 4 years at St. Louis. He just made a significant mark here on Wednesday Night Soccer, and that wasn't on the drawing board, but I'm sure he'll take it, Dave Sarakin.
Recognize this for Callie Brown as well. Some fans at home might be frustrated that he wasn't able to step to it quite rapidly, but it's one of those situations where you put guys out in front of you. It's almost impossible, if this is put right where it was, to get to it, because you cannot play the guessing game. When you're situated off center, you can trust your wall and give yourself a bit of a cheat and shift one side a bit further. That's not the case here. He has to stay centrally located, and then once he sees, if he sees it at all, when this ball's coming up over the top, then he has to react. You see it come late, upper corner, 1-0 North Carolina.
We have throw for Ward. Turned by Presley. I don't care if you put Callie Brown or Colin Miller, or you can go right down the list. It is irrelevant.
No
Earl
one's
Edwards
saving that.
Jr., no.
Yeah.
Bill Hamid, maybe Bill Hamid.
Throw Gary Bailey in there.
Our former Manchester United colleague.
Interesting talking with Ryan Martin, though, about what he likes, what he didn't like, and you know, we talked about their inability to close things out, and he said, look, this is a growing process, and I've got a lot of inexperienced guys who, to be honest, on the reverse side of it, they have to gain that experience. If you don't go through something, that fear of the unknown, you're not going to know any better. It's like the kid who puts his hand on a hot burner. If you've never done it before, you're going to test it. That's what happens in the middle of the field. There's a foul that should not have been given up on the trailing run by Nelson Martinez. Should have just stood tall, allowed it to develop, and the play would have gone on. Instead, he goes to ground. The youth gives up an opportunity. That's a 17-year-old, and North Carolina rightfully makes him pay.
Cross driven out. And he did say, ultimately, you have to go through it to grow from it, right? And we were talking about the homegrowns that have existed out of Red Bulls and FC Dallas, but I think Red Bulls being in the Eastern region is obviously a little more notable for DC United fans, all the academy products they've turned into New York Red Bulls stars over the last few years. He said, look, they're 3-4 years ahead of our process. But if you get these 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds with special qualities on a professional field early, watch out.
You get those guys, pair them with players who still have the skill set to compete at this level, but also a bit of experience like Kyle Murphy up top that can help these guys going forward. But let's go to the other end of the field. Hallie Brown, who can lead you from the back going forward from the goalkeeping position. He can bark the orders. He can help with the shape that you need. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to find a way to still hone that decision-making process, and that does go back to where Martinez got himself in trouble. But realize that this team 100% has the talent. Can they give you that look on a regular basis? They slip up for about 15 seconds in the opening 10 minutes, and just like that, they're behind 1-0.
New York City supporters banging away. Steered further, brought down Iwolo, Cristo, and now at the feet of Al-Badawi. Taylor. Carolina looking to double their advantage, garnered in the 10th minute. Service nodded back, recovered by Wapawo. Good step by. Tap back by Al-Badawi and recovered by Ward. A chance for Loudoun to quickly span to the other way. And the chance to run through. Sinclair crossing, that's over Murphy. Presley trying to run that down, he does. And the Texan strides forward, drives this cross, brought down, chance to shoot, palm save, McLeod. That's out for a corner. Two very nice saves from McLeod in the early going.
Could have easily knocked this back behind him instead. Nice little touch out in front. Bustamante, very well done. Here McLeod has to shift back over to his left side, collects his thoughts, and is able to get to ground, make an excellent save.
Moses Nyman, the 15-year-old, to take the corner. Driven ball, if that found its way through, could have been a dangerous shooting opportunity. Instead, Loudoun will reverse. And Saravia, the defender from El Salvador, is there to backstop it. Driven ball over Murphy, steered away by Duvernay. And now the counter is on, the flag remains down. Cristo has a phenomenal goal already today. Cristo, great defense by Saravia. Ball crossed through, Presley. Quality ball. This laid off near the penalty spot, gets cleared. DJ Taylor. Well, they're happy to have him in right back again. Didn't feel like Timmy Mell was bad by any stretch. By the same token, he's a center back that was playing out of position in that 1-0 loss that ended 8 games unbeaten way to Birmingham on the weekend.
Quite interesting how we can talk about gaining experience for Loudoun United, kids 15, 16, 17 years old. And then you turn the page a little bit, go to Timmy Mell, coming out of one of the best soccer programs in all the land in Indiana.
Duvernay from Miller, the cross is just over Miller on the return. And Iwolo is down
Visit NorthCarolinaFC.com for exclusive in-depth coverage about our team, videos, schedules, tickets, and
Coming
more.
out of the middle of the field, that's Hakeem Ward goes to the ground. That is a nasty challenge from behind on that back left ankle. Two-footed, up over the top, trailing leg. That'll get you into trouble. This could easily have been shown red, to be honest.
I agree.
How the referee does not get involved here, especially when it's right in the spotlight in front of him. The training staff will just take a look while we're figuring out exactly what goes on with Iwolo tucking inside. Dave Sarakin, similar thoughts running through his mind. And referencing Timmy Mel, talking about his experience as they get some support going on the sideline. Timmy Mel coming out of Indiana. Todd Yeagley played on that back line, and he sat next to a freshman, Jack Mayer, another guy who comes out of that St. Louis youth program. Got an opportunity with Scott Gallagher as an academy contract player to make some repetitions last year under Anthony Pulis, St. Louis FC. And so at every level, there's always someone looking to progress. If you don't, stagnant, you lose your spot. You see the age bracket's a bit different for Loudoun and North Carolina FC, though Dave Sarakin still trying to find a way to push these guys to another level as this season moves on and in their careers as well. Rolo finally getting to his feet, but as you can see, quite ginger in his movements.
There was an excellent article in the Dallas News earlier this year that got a lot of play within the U.S. soccer, club soccer community. Iwolo, a native of Cameroon, came up through Rainbow FC and then went on to a third division Czech side, MFK Vyškov. It's a unique situation in that at his age of 23, there's a bunch of young African players that all end up on the same team. It used to be Rainbow FC providing a lot of those players to American sides. Now it's Vyškov of the Czech Republic. Same ownership group. It's a very interesting piece. This cross driven in front towards Murphy. Handled by McLeod. Didn't intercept that right on time. But it's worth a look. It is a fascinating article.
They've definitely pumped some serious talent into the States, and more specifically at the USL Championship level. MFK Vyškov, and a lot of them coming on loan, so retaining the rights. For, well, it looks like he's going to try and make a go of it.
When Rainbow FC was sort of reaching its peak, there were a lot of reports that it looked like an effort to circumvent FIFA's ban on third-party ownership of players. And that's where things take an interesting turn. Clearly not the case if they're continuing to find their way to American clubs and at a really high rate. Iwolo has had a very nice year. Tack on here for Loudoun. Murphy. That's tipped free. There's room out wide. A Ward. And Iwolo clears. I'd say this, it's just good to see Iwolo up and moving around, because if that breaks another way, it could literally break. Iwolo. Ward trailing in pursuit. Iwolo drives the cross. It's beyond Cristo. Knocked away from Miller.
Beautiful ball played in by Iwolo, just not enough pace on the backside from Cristo. Gets out in front. There is a bit of hesitation from the big man up top. Just sails by, and really the outside wings on this near side struggling. Hakeem Ward, Iwolo just hugging that line a little bit, letting it get out in front of him. And Ward likes to play as high as he possibly can, but you have to check yourself as well here. Stay in constant communication with the back two in Central's location, and just find a way that, look, if I'm gonna go step and it gets knocked over the back, you step in, I'll rotate back in for you. just keep a better eye on the horizon when the ball's not at your feet and it's rotating back over. Make sure that if it does start to spring the other way, you have an opportunity to get back. They're being taken advantage of right now in that area.
Ward crow hopping forward to the feet of Presley. Brotherton closes that down. And it stays with Loudoun. You and I both are looking at this cockeyed.
That looked like it took a deflection off Connor Presley. Another growing pain where Ward gets high. Presley could have easily cut this back and let Ward go in. A lot of space to be had, unfortunately. Takes a few too many touches. He's shut down. You can see they can put it down and knock it. And they're not afraid to. Just lacking with some of their decision making when push comes to shove. On the offensive side as well as defensively.
Sarakin's got some kind of whistle.
I've never been able to whistle like that. That is a life goal, I promise you. People at home can make fun of me. Life goal.
Life goal.
I can whistle in about 4 different ways. Can't do it that way.
I can't wait for you to show me the other 3 ways.
I can tell you.
No, I'm good. Christo. Spees rounding through, and that's clipped away by Martinez. And results in a NCFC corner.
For a Carolina Keno corner kick brought to you by the North Carolina Education Lottery. Carolina Keno giving you the chance to win up to $100,000 every 5 minutes.
It was a free kick that gave North Carolina the lead 15 minutes ago. This service over Brotherton and clipped towards goal and handled off a bobble by Callie Brown.
There's an opportunity here for Badaway just tracking back in. Unfortunately, flat-footed when it gets knocked through. Well done by Miller to put it back in. And you can see number 21. Osme just not fast enough coming off, to be fair. Brown did a good job collecting it after the initial deflection. Just struggling here to really put it down and play on a regular basis. A team that can hold possession. They like to. It's not necessarily their bread and butter. As, to be honest, they tend to be a bit more reactionary in their movements to their opponents than they'd need to.
Christo throwing his arm forward as if to call for the ball. Badaway. Spees. Taylor, flag is up. I will say this, Devin, coming in, Dave Sarakin was disappointed with the game in Birmingham because they weren't sharp enough. He felt like the possession wasn't good enough. They were having unforced turnovers undo their good work. That doesn't seem to be much the case tonight.
No, I'll say it for the Birmingham game. They were terrible, I mean, honestly. And Coach will say that. He said, I didn't like this. He gave us 5 in a row, before we go into specifics, of everything they did bad. And he's right. When you watch the 90 minutes, defensively, they had an awkward shape. They weren't threatening in the final third. They didn't control the midfield. The pace was slow. There wasn't enough response time when they did give the ball up. Nothing was good enough, and nothing was good enough over the 90 minutes entirely. And you have to find a way to go on the road against those teams and get victories to push yourself into the top 4.
Ward sliding that along, and it's cleared by Guillen.
The good news is those slip-ups do not happen regularly for this team. And
3 losses all year.
Yeah, and so you're 27 minutes in. Has it been their best? No. But there are going to be some games, Dave Sarakin said this, where you're not at your best. Find a way to grind through them and get a result. Now, I'm not saying that's where this game is going, but with a team like Loudoun on the road, you're North Carolina FC at home, you've got a pretty solid lineup in, you would like to dictate the terms to them. You would like to go out and say, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do A, B, and C, and we're going to make you pay in this manner. They haven't really done that so far. Their one goal came off a set-piece opportunity, a beautiful finish, by the way, by Robbie Christo up top, but they haven't exactly been throwing a massive amount of opportunities into the final third. A lot of them have actually come in the likes of the linesman in the offside flag.
Christo got tugged from behind, and a free kick. This might be a little out of Christo's range. And a quick restart from Spees. Carolina tasting defeat for the first time in 62 days. 2 full calendar months elapsed between their losses at Ottawa and then at Birmingham over the weekend. Of course, our thoughts with Chandler Hoffman, who had a season-ending knee injury in the latter stages of that game, a true pro and one of our favorites to commentate on and chat with in the league. Wish him the best.
That was hard to watch. You know, it came out that it was his PCL, and I was just about to say you never like it when a player goes to ground when there's no contact, as Duvernay goes to ground right in front of the bench in front of Dave Sarakin. But he knew immediately. He raised his hand, went to ground. The training staff for Birmingham came out, and he was able to get off the field. There was a limp with it. And you just wish him a speedy recovery and everything for his career going forward. As you take a look at what went on with Caleb, trailing run, catches a dead leg as the follow-through on that right knee of his. Akeem Ward, once again, surprised the referee hasn't had a talk here, because there's the late one there. There was the one on Dunwoody in the middle of the field, and still Akeem Ward able to play on without any issues.
Well, there's a hydration break. We mentioned it's 89 and humid. 30 minutes gone in Wednesday night soccer. Let's take a look at how we got this far. Presley from distance, couple good saves from McLeod.
Connor Presley had one from distance. There was a nice ball played into Kyle Murphy, and then of course Bustamante had his chance inside the 18, but a reckless foul just outside on the other end of the field. Cristo stepped up. Callie Brown could do nothing but watch as this beautiful set piece opportunity sails right up into the upper 90. That would happen in the 10th minute. Home squad would get out in front 1-0, and we're still sitting there. But as we said, there were a few. This one could have been knocked on the back heel, could have taken an extra touch. He does, steps himself upright. Bustamante goes for the far corner. Credit to Darren McLeod and his ability to slide back over and make a save on the bottom corner.
Duvernay's up and moving, and so too are members of the North Carolina bench. It's Tommy Mell. See if Timmy Mell gets a call to return here. Ryan Martin and his staff looking on.
And the move that, if they do bring Timmy Mell on, what would most likely happen, you're hoping Duvernay can come out as Timmy Mell will get an opportunity to actually play in his preferred position. He would go where Ian Guillen is. Guillen would actually go out to the left back position. That's where they normally use him.
Everybody getting back on the field. The ball's on the field as well. Select, the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the finest leagues in the world. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. And Wednesday night soccer rolls on. Eventually maintained by Nyman. Nyman, the first call Ryan Martin made. Making that move from academy director into Loudoun United head coach. Get him into this. Ball lobbed over the top. Iwolo, long run. And Ward again a little behind the play. Ward, the first round pick out of Creighton. 14th overall to DC United.
This is one of the ones where it's a good teaching experience for Ryan Martin, but you're hoping that it takes hold here. And I say that because as the long ball gets knocked back over, that's the third time, maybe the fourth for Akeem Ward. Have to find a way to now track back a little bit. And yes, it's cat and mouse with Iwolo, where now he'll start to drop off and you go back and forth with each other. Good job for Brown stepping up in to clear it off the line. But if he doesn't come out, if an experienced goalkeeper does not have the ability to step off like that, you're in a one-on-one situation, could be 2-0.
Well, change is going to come here. And North Carolina playing with 10 at present as Duvernay comes off. Tried to continue on, but clearly too bothered by that injury he picked up a moment ago. Ward. Martinez. Saravia. Best bit of sustained possession here. What does Loudoun make of it? Slid across, Ward. We'll catch up to that. Those one-on-one. Badawi pursuing. Ward crossing there. Murphy heads it back. Bustamante on the turn. Bustamante has a go and lashes it wide. Well, change coming here. On comes Victor Igbokoy. Caleb Duvernay is done.
Number 22, Caleb Duvernay.
Disappointing to see Duvernay come off the NC State product. Went from the academy through the under-23s into the pro team. He is the perfect example of the pipeline to pro. And he picks up an injury in a challenge from Akeem Ward. Comes off about 5 minutes later.
We didn't even get that far down, as Dave Sarakin had some glorious things to say about Caleb Duvernay. Unfortunately, that will be put on the back burner tonight. Aaron Guillen does go to that left back position. Igbokoy drops in next to Brotherton. Bit of unfamiliar territory for the gentleman who wears number 4. Very experienced.
Wapello, his first appearance in the league this year. There's Wapello again, 3 games in a week. They felt like finally a good chance to get him in. That number 6 position, that holding midfield position, has not been kind to the North Carolina number 5. It's just a lot of depth there to break through.
The shape they're giving you right now as well is very much a 4-1-4-1. They're staggering the centrals with Nazmi and Ben Spees in the middle. Spees playing a bit higher. But Wapa does give you that opportunity to drop back in. Very similar to what you see out of Austin Duluth. Allows the outside backs to get very high. It's a system that you and I have seen before under Lou City, where they push the guys really high. They'll turn it into a back 3 if need be. That's that athletic presence that Dave Sarakin talks about, where you can just do so many different things with Duval Wapawo. And just one little look in the midfield. There's a good look at the lines. They're trying to break down for Loudoun. As they progress into the final third, if NCFC ever lets them get there, you'll see really how strict this back line is, and the midfield 5 as well. There's such good defending, and they'll go flat across it as well. There's depth, really hard to break down.
Injured player behind the play for North Carolina. Loudoun trying to force their way into it, and a foul. Down goes Sinclair. The young Costa Rican goes to ground. McCoy getting a talking to. So too is Duval Wapawo.
He gets him. He leans right, but there's a quick touch coming right across by Orlando Sinclair. Recognizes the deflection that had come off the boys on the outside and just went for it. Unfortunately, the trailing boot of Wapawo gets himself in trouble. Not necessarily the same angle we saw on the other end for North Carolina FC. Still threatening nonetheless, with Antonio Bustamante standing up over top of this. Sets up well for a right footer. And you've only got 4 on the wall right now. Kyle Murphy is including himself in there to make it an odd 5. This is one where you'd like to challenge the goalkeeper to the near post. Difficult from this angle to get it up and down.
It'll be Bustamante or Nyman. It'll be Bustamante off the wall. Both were looking for their first career professional goal. Both are still teenagers. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, Wednesday Night Soccer. North Carolina could move into a tie for 3rd place with Indy 11 with a win. Loudoun could move a step closer toward playoff contention with games in hand on everybody. They're 23 days away from opening 5,000-seat Segra Field in Leesburg, Virginia. started their season playing out of Audi Field, which is a fine pitch and all. They've had some fans make their way up from Northern Virginia, but they're happy to actually be in Loudoun County in just 3 weeks' time.
There's a sense of integrity behind all of that, and really a calmness that you have that also creates that confidence.
Chance to serve toward Iwalo, lifted up by Ward, and he is grabbing the back of his head. Looked like he got kicked there.
Stephen Miller on the far side. And just knocks this near post. Great run by Iwalo. Watch the trailing brood on the backside of things. Right there. And that'll leave a mark. Hopefully he didn't catch his head on the backside of the post as well. No malintentions there by Donovan Iwalo. And you just wonder exactly what Stephen Miller was trying to pick out. Good run. Did hit a bit of a gray area. There's Ryan Martin talking about how everybody has a bit more confidence when you have your own stadium. And I get that. Look, you walk in to a dressing room, that's your locker, your stuff's sitting there. The familiarity of it all does give you not necessarily a sense of entitlement. That's probably the wrong way to go, but it does give you that added boost.
It's yours.
Yes, 100%. There is something to be said, though, about Braided Audi Field. You walk in there, the halls are already echoing.
Corner NCFC header rises over the crossbar. Big leap up. Guillen meeting that and sending a rocket over the crossbar.
He was going to get his opportunity whether he moved to left back or not. Actually, Christo on the second look. Guillen was out in front of it. Christo reminded him that I'm just a bit taller than you. Go to the back line and let the big boys do it up top.
4 inches difference. You know, I saw 6'1" and I went, they might be making Guillen look a little tall compared to Christo. And then you look at him, he's 6'5".
It's very much a go sit down, hold my water. I got work to do.
Coming up at halftime, news and notes from around the league. We'll take a look at highlights from the first half. What's coming up for both these teams here on Wednesday Night Soccer. How's this for news around the league? 9 straight wins for Phoenix, and on Friday night they've got the Bud Light Night there for Dollar Beer Night as they chase the league record 10th straight win. Guillen crossing, Miller collecting on the turn, Al-Badawi crossing, Iwalo.
Thought this had goal written all over it as it made its way back on the second opportunity. There was a lack of conversation on the backside of things that led to Miller having to take a second and third touch to collect himself, but very well done. And just showcases his composure once they had to hit the reset button. Just wonder if you could continue to attack this side. Then I understand Iwalo had to rotate back in. Same look from Stephen Miller on the cross back into the box. But this right side of the field for Loudoun United taking a beating, with Donovan Iwalo making himself very active when he does push over center field. That's a look they're going to continue to try and exploit come second half.
Bustamante chipping it forward. Sinclair gives chase, and that'll run out. Devin, if it's up to you, we've talked with Ryan Martin coming into this game about opening things up, allowing that technical ability, the special quality offensively of these players to shine a little bit more. Do you bunker in a little more on the road to provide more support to those wings, or do you make a substitution? What do you do to adjust that then?
So from Ryan Martin's philosophy and the personnel that he has, here's what he should do. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see some of this in the second half. You don't necessarily bunker down in. You tailor your expectations on one side of the field for now. Iwalo's playing that high line. Ward has obviously gotten himself in trouble. He's having a difficult time in one-on-one situations. Pull him back a little bit, pull Presley back a little bit. you can let Presley explode from a deeper position. You have the substitutes available for a reason. Also, balance that on the other side of the field. Start to push things to the left side if you're playing deeper on the right.
Presley sweeping aside. And a chance to cross. Dewey. That'll run across the body of Guillen and out.
And that's another look that you can get to. They start deep, they move it up in, they cut inside. Presley cuts inside. Now you make the outside midfielder of North Carolina FC make a decision. Are you going to sit or are you going to go with the runner? He goes with the runner, and then Aaron Guillen has to account for Akeem Ward coming late. So it gives you a different look for Loudoun United, but it makes the home squad stay honest.
Nyman. Murphy got a little tug from Guillen. And North Carolina will saunter the other way. Should be a fair amount of stoppage time due to not only injuries, but a hydration break. Al-Badawi making the cut in, lost it between his feet. This slid away. Al-Badawi's head still snapping back. He's frustrated. Al-Badawi, actually, former U23 guy, spent some really good years in North Carolina before moving on to FC Cincinnati last year. Was part of that record-setting side. It's actually one of a couple guys that came through the U23s for North Carolina that's on this first-team roster now. Duvernay, Comcia, Al-Badawi as well. That under-23 team actually in USL League 2, 5 added minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth
An 8-6-0 this year under Tom Harris, finished second in the South Atlantic. So well done in the previously named PDL, now USL League 2. Slid away by Guillen. Of course, the average age for North Carolina is only 24. Loudoun might laugh at that number and call them old, but by any other standard, it's half a League 2 roster if you choose to play it that way. Martinez pushes it forward. Dewey. Simple touch by Al-Badawi.
That's all you need sometimes. Just that stable movement in the middle of the field to hold things down. You mentioned that Wapawo is the guy who throws in those heavy tackles, puts the weight a bit more on notice when he's moving side to side. Nazmi then is really the magician who helps create things going forward, helps this team explode. And then Ben Spies ties it all together with Christo, Miller, and Iwolo up top.
Cross here, Dewey. Nobody home. North Carolina goal kick. Cloud native of Kitchener in Ontario, went to Drake. Actually, they were without McLeod for a brief time. Alex Tambakis, the starting goalkeeper typically. This a chance to rotate, get McLeod a game. Nick Platter, the goalkeeping coach, hadn't been rostered in 5 years. Got one of those 10-day contracts going on.
Been taking full advantage of the masseuse, the catering.
The last time he played for North Carolina, they were still the Carolina Railhawks.
Now you're going back.
So you need a new jersey to hang on the wall. It goes down. Taylor's won a free kick.
Fans, it's time for another Alpaca free kick.
Quick little change of space, change of direction by DJ Taylor, Orlando Sinclair. This side has been overloaded, and you see a fair amount of play going through the left side. Unfortunately, it's not the open space they're misutilizing on the right side with Connor Presley. And now a chance for Spies just before halftime to use some of those big bodies we just referenced.
Spies, header snapped wide by Brotherton. Bustamante, who made his DC United debut in the Open Cup against Philly. Usually that opening round is when you see some of the some of the younger guys get a chance with the Gold Cup this year. Most MLS teams went nuts. Wayne Rooney started that game, scored a penalty at the end. Cristo pursuing. Goodness, he just looks a foot taller than everyone around him. He is 10 inches taller than Saravia, who he's chasing. It's driven long. McLeod slow out of his net. Bustamante drives it off of him. McLeod recovers.
There's a good thought here by Bustamante. And when you dive deeper into it, from what we've seen in him in the past, thought he would have gone a bit more vertical in his actions, trying to go up over Darren McLeod. That's not the case. Still a good touch behind, but well done by the goalkeeper to just react at the last minute. Lovely by him to then judge the bounce of the ball coming off of the deflection.
Let's go! Antonio, higher!
Devin, if you're North Carolina, you go off to the locker room, you do have to feel better than the performance you laid out last week. Not perfect, better.
I want to find a way to get Cristo more involved, stretch the back line a little bit more, and talk about that balance for Loudoun United. Same things for the home squad. Iwolo's been very active on the left side. Stephen Miller, they tailored it to him towards the end of the first half, and that could be a tactical thing for Dave Sarakin, where he wants to attack spots at certain points in time. But when you make Loudoun United guess on a regular basis, it's much more difficult. The youngsters have to find a way to have a better shape in the second half to give themselves a chance to come from behind.
Robbie Cristo with a thunderbolt on a beautiful night in Cary, North Carolina. 90-degree temperatures. But not too hot in the kitchen for Darren McLeod. A couple big saves, then he'll let the big man do the dirty work. North Carolina 1, Loudoun 0. Halftime coming up. Stadium that has played host to College Cups, to the U.S. men's national team, to World Cup qualifying for the U.S. women's national team. A ton of history at this gorgeous venue in Cary, North Carolina, where the lights are shining tonight on Wednesday Night Soccer. We'll show you the very best from League One, Week 16, and USL Championship Week 19. But first, let's get you ready for Wednesday Night Soccer next week, Orange County and Reno.
strike, a goal for Orange County. Lacroix and Duke Lacroix. This is dangerous, headed on frame. It is a goal for Orange County.
And Corey Herzog, and he perfectly places it.
Get towards the back post, in the air and through. Orange County.
Reese Williams with some space. Williams curls it inside the 18. Soccer attempt and a beautiful strike on the bicycle for Lansing Ignite FC. Absolutely incredible. Elma N4. Are you kidding me?
Going long distance, trying to connect. Sayone, and he puts it in the back of the net from long distance. Sending it forward. Here's another opportunity, and boy, you back of the net. That is what they've been looking to do all night long. 91st minute, we are tied at 1 apiece.
Here's Mintz again. Mintz gets across to the top of the knee. Moshomani left foot. Beautiful strike. Tumi Moshomani. Here comes North Texas on the attack. The strike and a goal.
Is this the moment? Jose Angulo! Dillon Stadium alive again! Martinez! What a way to secure a hat trick! Douglas Martinez taking the spotlight!
To keep it out, does the 17-year-old.
Looked like it hit the heel of Forrester. And the Bold have the answer moments later. Guess who? Tierpak. Cervantes got the early rounds against the super sub.
There's bodies up there. There's bodies up there. Let's see this. This is where he shines. Cross that in, lets it through. Here's Partey.
Can you believe that? What a strike. His second on the year.
Kobayashi trying to pick out Brian Wright. Wright brings it down. Wright puts it in.
Back in Cary, North Carolina. North Carolina FC, a 1-goal lead. Robbie Christo, an incredible goal. 20-yard free kick. Lead over Loudoun at halftime with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at news and notes from around the championship. And a couple teams are streaking right now. Phoenix, we mentioned earlier. Dollar Beer Night's like a gimme. That's like the center square, right? That's the free square. Guaranteed win.
I'm with you. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's an impressive run. They will get an opportunity on Friday night to go for 10 in a row. Tie FC Cincinnati from 2010. They just tied the Real Monarchs in their record of the Western Conference back in 2017, Reno Orange County. Tell you, Ian Russell's boys, after that Phoenix Rising loss at Reno, 1868, has been on a nice little tear of their own. Orange County up and down once again, struggling to find a way to challenge Austin on the road. 3-2 for Austin Bold.
So these are live standings if the games that are in action now ended as is currently constituted. This is the only game currently going. North Carolina would be level with Indy on points after Indy had that shocking loss away to Hartford on the weekend.
We just talked about streaks. Indy was actually 10 unbeaten, 6-0-4 going into that game. Shock result, to be honest. But quality from Hartford Athletic. Jimmy Nielsen found a way to open their stadium with a bang. And some other teams here just not necessarily in the greatest of forms. I've really liked what I've seen out of Pittsburgh Riverhounds on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah. Let me repeat that. Pittsburgh Riverhounds on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we know what Bob Lilly's teams can do, but offensively, they've really looked nice.
And let it be known, North Carolina just finished 8 unbeaten. During that stretch, they went from 5th all the way to 4th. Here's Wednesday Night Soccer's upcoming schedule. We got Orange County, Reno. Back on ESPN News, Sacramento and Eric Winalda's Las Vegas Lights. Are they still doing $2 tequila?
All day, every day, when they play.
And we've got North Carolina, Tampa, and New Mexico, El Paso as well.
How about that New Mexico-El Paso game on July 31st? Sebastian Velasquez, the recent acquisition for Mark Lowry boys. He will, in theory, make his debut tonight against San Antonio. So just about 2 weeks, we'll call it 15 days if you include today, an opportunity to get himself into that 11, go on the road at the Lab. That should be a nice matchup.
Should be. As Wednesday Night Soccer rolls on here from Cary, the lights are on. And the second half is right around the bend. We'll show you how Robbie Cristo broke this game open 10 minutes in with an excellent goal. It's North Carolina 1, Loudoun United 0 at the half. You're watching Wednesday Night Soccer on ESPN3. Back in North Carolina, as the fans of all ages piling into Salem Stadium at WakeMed Soccer Park. 1-0 to North Carolina at the break. Let's show you first half highlights. And Loudoun United could have had a couple goals in this first half if not for a great run of form by Darren McLeod, who's making just his third start of the year, his first in 2 months.
Not easy for a goalkeeper to step right in, especially when Tembakas has basically taken the reins. Nice strike from distance, 7th minute, but good rotation back across, sets his feet, gets down low. You'll see that again in a minute, but let's go to the goal first. Terrible mistake just outside of the top of the 18, given up. Robert Cristo steps in all day, every day. Make him pay. Lovely what he does here. Just plants that left foot, comes across his body. Notice his momentum as he brings it across, does not lean back, leans to his side, gets a lot of English on the ball to pick out that upper corner. Best chance, honestly, for Bustamante, but again, McLeod does such a good job getting low. This is what you run into from Loudoun United, where that chance, yes, it's inside the 18. The rest of them were from afar. And when you go up against a team like North Carolina FC, they are too good on the defensive side of the ball. We showcased in the open as well as during the game the line defensively, or plural, that they put together for you. They've only given up 15 games all season long. That's tied for second best in the USL Championship, behind only Indy 11 and Tampa Bay Rowdies. They don't mind the possession because Loudoun United, it was all horizontal. Side-to-side stuff that was really not that impressive. Brian Martin will find a way to continue to try and push this in a positive direction. Really liked what I saw towards the end of the half where they started to get a bit more of a balance. You have to find a way to, if you're going to push Orlando Sinclair inside, get the overlapping run from Dewey. You've seen it on the right from Ward and Connor Presley. That's also counteracted against them, where Wolo had a field day in the opening 45 minutes.
Those are your halftime stats. North Carolina 1-goal lead. Loudoun more of the possession, as North Carolina's effectively countered and run into the offside flag once as well. Let's take a look at what's upcoming for these teams, as North Carolina FC is away to Pittsburgh, and then it's going to be a really busy couple of weeks at Salem's Stadium at WakeMed Soccer Park. The North Carolina Courage are home the second, so it's the second against Washington Spirit and then the third against Indy 11, so that could be a battle for third, maybe even second place at that point in the Eastern Conference, depending on form for Indy and North Carolina. Meanwhile, on the other side, upcoming schedule for Loudoun United. Devin, they're finally going to be home in the early stages of August. That game against Charlotte is going to be a really big one for Loudoun fans.
Some quality momentum for them to be had with that opening. And let's give them some credit here, too, because the run of form that they've been on at St. Louis 2-2 should have won. Beat Atlanta United 2. To be honest, the Indy game, I said this to Ryan Martin, the opening 45 minutes might have been the best of the season, but it goes back to the comments we made coming in. They can't close games out. With this next stretch they're going to have on the road at Indy, Lou City, Atlanta United 2, okay, maybe there, but Charlotte Independence, who's streaking, and then hosting Charleston Battery. Really difficult schedule with squads that are in the better talking points of the Eastern Conference. How do you navigate that, especially when you get some reps at home?
Loudoun ready to go for this second half, and this is game number 6 under their new coach. I mentioned Richie Williams making the move to Bruce Arena's staff when he got hired at New England. What a run they're on, by the way. But this isn't to drag Richie Williams at all, but no doubt Ryan Martin has come with an attack-minded effort. 9 goals in the last 5 games. Right now, goose egg after 45.
Goals win games for sure, and they need to find more of them. They've done it recently, as you can tell statistically, but how do you find a way to then replicate those efforts on the defensive side of the ball? You can really see separation as North Carolina FC pushes into the final third, and how the spacing is just off. You have to find a way in training midweek to give them some confidence and then replicate that when it comes into the game situations. That hasn't been the case for Loudoun United. Plenty of talent here. Just how do you find a way to make sure that everybody's on the same page? That's been the issue for Ryan Martin since stepping in. To be fair, it's been the issue for Loudoun United all season long. They have an opportunity here, though. They're within striking distance of this very talented Eastern Conference team. 45 minutes to go. Would love to see high tempo and a high line played from Loudoun United, but also tailor the expectations on the defensive side. Make sure your outside backs sit a little bit. Make North Carolina play out of the back. It's something they haven't had to do yet.
Yamakani Chester comes on. Plays for the Malawi men's national team, replaces Donovan Iwolo at the break. And we've got a false start. Elvis Osmanovic with a second below the whistle. Here we go.
The 46th minute of play coming up to game number 7.
Iwolo had a very good first half, but he did get beat up a little bit too along the way.
We can't play fast if they're going to kick the ball.
Well, that's a pretty clear endeavor there from Ryan Martin. We can't play fast if they kick the ball away. That's a fair point. That'll roll out, and so North Carolina from deep in their own end try and throw through the pressure of Loudoun. North Carolina has struggled, whether it be in the NASL or in the USL Championship, to reach the playoffs. Colin Clark missed out last year. That was the end of his run. In steps Dave Sarakin, a internationally renowned name. So far, they look like a borderline lock to make the playoffs in this expanded 10-team tournament in each conference. Problem is, you finish 7th, and you're talking about an extra game in short order. You really do want to finish in this top 4, get a home game, and skip the play-in round.
Not worried about it when a 50-yard ball comes across the field and your outside back, DJ Taylor, casually takes this off his head and plays it back to Darren McLeod. That's very well done by the Raleigh, North Carolina native. That shows you the confidence that this team is playing with right now, even though they're coming off a subpar performance against Birmingham.
And this will belong to North Carolina. Thing is, North Carolina feels like starting from zero. New coach, more than half of the team are guys that have not been here previously. A good mix of internationals, domestic players, guys with a high draft status, guys without draft status. ultimately they feel like it's a really good group of guys and that they're not perfect yet. No one would say that they are, but they're improving week to week. Make a pretty clear statement that that's been the case, that 8-game unbeaten run, some of their better soccer of the year. Loudoun pushing into the final third. Trying to turn Presley. He's won a corner for Loudoun.
It's a good job by Connor Presley to get a ball across, but the true credit should be given to Brotherton as big center back just overextends his arm here a little bit. Never going to point to the penalty mark in this situation, but he uses his body to his advantage. And yes, I get a corner out of it, but it's against the run of play that it will now come, as opposed to the open field advantage that was initially there from Loudoun United.
Corner lifted up and over. Orlando Sinclair, the player that got highest. Feet of Al Badawi. Spees. Spees again, won the College Cup MVP for North Carolina after transferring in from Akron. Here comes North Carolina. Off the feet of Miller. Swept over toward Guillen, who's way forward. Badawi. Ball slid in front by Taylor, palm to that, and lifted away by Akeem Ward. Sinclair and Murphy shouts back into the abyss. Again, unable to get good service on the run. Oh, this is excellent to set up Stephen Miller, and knocked down by Callie Brown. He recovers the rebound.
It's got to be faster decision making by Stephen Miller. The angle is closed down rapidly by Loudoun United. Had the back post run from Yamakani Chester as well. That's where you go up against a better squad like Tampa Bay Rowdies at Indy 11. Those opportunities are going to be few and far between. So when they do present themselves, you have to close things out.
Miller 5 goals on the year, and that was one of the easier looks he was going to get, the way he'd been slipped through so cleanly. Miller, a great player at Colgate in the Patriot League before moving into the professional ranks. And this ball dropped over the top. Cristo right off the chest of Callie Brown. And this struck off the half volley. Stephen Miller puts it out. And Brown remains down on his knees.
Krister tries to go with power in this situation, but precision was definitely the better look here. Has near post on the ground, has far post on the ground. Instead, tries to put his laces on the ball and go right at the goalkeeper. Stephen Miller on the other side. You get another look. It's right at Callie Brown in both situations. Two excellent opportunities put by the wayside here by North Carolina FC.
Miller. Things might be unraveling a bit for Loudoun right now. Advantage played. And this struck wide. Callie Brown gives a little chase to it. Brown still appears a little bothered by that previous shot he took. This will run all the way back. Picked up by McLeod. Devin, if you're Loudoun, how do you try and change the direction of this? This might be a little bit of help. All for Sinclair, cut out for Murphy.
Too predictable in their actions right now. Everything they're doing.
Right down Main Street again, and Cristo offside. He hammers it off the crossbar off a little tip from Brown. It was never going to count.
I told you coming into the second half for North Carolina, first and foremost, wanted to see more out of Cristo stretching the back line. That's what's going on here in the second half. This is 100% onside. Refereeing crew gets this wrong. He's actually looking on the backside of the trailing run by Saravia. And that wasn't the case. Cristo did a good job walking the line just in between he and Harry Hawkins. But they have to find a way to, honestly, showcase some of that ability to put the ball down and be a bit more tactful on it. It's very direct right now and really isn't showcasing their abilities. They're so technical on the ball, and we just haven't seen that here.
Oh, that's shanked out. This is going to be a corner. That's a regrettable moment. Just didn't hit that right, McLeod.
Antonio!
Bustamante is coming out. Welcome back the former second overall pick to Chivas USA in the MLS Super Draft. Bustamante, the 21-year-old DC United homegrown, checks out. And recently signed Carlos Alvarez comes off the bench. This is his 101st appearance in a USL Championship game. He's not the only change. Christian Sorto coming on as well. And Devin, let's be frank, the personnel for Loudoun just changed drastically in 1 minute.
Well done by Sinclair to at least try and hold up play a little bit. Unfortunately, not his best night. And just like that, you're going to get a much different look out of Loudoun United going forward. Carlos Alvarez, let's start with him. A guy that you and I both really liked at Las Vegas Lights and had a great career behind him.
Corner Loudoun, that's cleared away from Murphy. Yes, 7 goals last year, 4 assists for what was a really discombobulated Las Vegas.
So much was asked of him, and you could really see towards the latter portion of the season the emotions start to overtake his performances, where he would be asked to play the holding midfielder, the attacker. None of it would play out on a regular basis.
Due lifting that out.
Ryan Martin telling us that Carlos Alvarez was in preseason down in Mexico. Unfortunately, some paperwork just didn't necessarily work out for him. Will remain that club in the blind. And an opportunity of a rebirth of sorts for Alvarez, who is still only 28 years of age. A guy that most people don't realize was actually the first ever signee for LAFC. Now, he didn't make that into the roster of the 2018 season, but initially he was in the black and gold. He was also the first ever signing for Darren Powell's squad in San Antonio FC.
Interesting enough. Miller crossing this, falls kindly. Cristo, back heel, the overlap arriving. This cross will ricochet over to Nyman. Presley trying to go the other way. All this talk about Alvarez, but what about what Christian Sorto did in his debut against Atlanta United too? Just a brace, and the second goal was magical. 20 in red tonight.
Quite interesting, Ryan Martin telling us that Sorto wasn't.
Cristo played through again, and the flag is up again. We'll see just how close this one was.
2 strikers in full talking point right now. Sorto transitioning over to Cristo. That's really hard to tell. It looked like there was possibly a lead, and I say possibly, giving the refereeing crew a bit of a credit on this one. First one definitely wrong. Cristo much more active here in the second half. That's the look you wanted to see out of North Carolina FC. It'll allow the wing play to continue to develop, but you could separate the back line as well between the 2 center backs. A lot of looks coming in the form of Robert Cristo, but for Sorto, now he gets isolated out on this left side. He can go challenge the right side of midfield against DJ Taylor. Good matchup there, and a lot of speed on display, but the technical ability of Sorto a bit better than DJ Taylor.
Ward really struggling to deal with Chester. Alvarez, his brother Efrain, really highly thought of with LA Galaxy. Brought down by Due. His cross harmless. Well, this game coming to you from Cary, North Carolina. If North Carolina's dreams are to be realized, Steve Malik and the organization putting out a tremendous plan for their next home. This will come to Sorto, lays it off on the turn. Nyman, and that's off target. We're talking about a $2 billion complex over 55 acres. It's far more than just a stadium. It was announced on June the 25th over at South Saunders and I-40, the intersection there. Plan would be to put a stadium that would hold not only NCFC and the North Carolina Courage, who under Paul Riley have been the dominant power perhaps in all of women's club football worldwide. This ball slipped ahead and lifted away from Chester, but also all kinds of other events. And so take a look at the news that's come out about that, Devin. That stadium plan looks, it's one of the more mouth-watering propositions. Al-Badawi thought about it, slipped it ahead, bounces off of Sorto, and it will be a corner.
Just a bad second touch here by Sorto that comes off. Callie Brown tries to react to it. Cannot. Got to figure out. Obviously, I know which one's going to be built first, but which one I'm going to enjoy more, the North Carolina FC one or Louisville City FC. Those two, I tell you, talk about mouth-watering. I'd easily get in a car, drive back and forth between the two.
How cool are even the light stanchions at the stadium on the outskirts of Louisville, Lou City's new stadium that's to be ready for next year. Spees, that'll get out. That stadium's great. Segra Field's going to be done in 23 days. They'll open up against Charlotte the second week of August for Loudoun United. You got some other teams that are looking for the right place for their future home. Fresno certainly looking to build their own venue sooner than later. Badawi knocking this wide. Chester, it's been a problem for Loudoun since coming on. Broke down a bit. North Carolina maintains possession. And Wolo get to Wapawo. And this will deflect off of Sorto. Corner.
Definitely had a gray area here of the game. 15 minutes into the second half. Neither team really willing to overtake the other. So look at Ben Spees, and who, take a look at his resume. He has played under Caleb Porter, Carlos Samuano, Greg Berhalter, Martin Rennie, and Dave Sarakin. Really, man? And this is nothing against you. Really? I'm sitting here and he played under all those guys?
I know.
Good for him.
Cross here, Spees toward the back post, brought down. Ends up going wide. Brown was there again, but he was clearly offside. Al-Badawi just sort of sits in front of the six, doesn't he?
Notice both times, though, he gets himself into trouble where the second ball coming back in, he's already too deep. That's credit to the back line of Loudoun United, though. They understand when the ball is played, they start to push a higher line, especially when all the blue jerseys are rotating to the top of the 18. That's a defensive unit from set-piece opportunities that is very well versed. Just think about that, though. The names. I mean, you're referencing the creme de la crop coaching and also some really nice programs that he's played for.
Yeah.
And he played at North Carolina and Akron, hence the Caleb Porter and Carlos Samuano reference. National championship involved on one of those. Berhalter with the Columbus Crew. Of course, Martin Rennie at Indy 11. And now Dave Sarakin.
Played for Samuano right after he took over the program from Elmar Bulovic, who since actually has left Creighton after an 8-year stint there. That first year they won the NCAA championship, and there was Ben Spees, most outstanding player of the College Cup. Actually going all the way back, he was in the Columbus Crew Academy. Tack on through Douay. That cross feathered along. Ball comes loose in front, and Presley Tried to slide into that. This will be a goal kick. I think Presley has a decent argument here. He felt like he got hit from behind on the slide.
Aaron Guillen puts his head down, and he shouldn't, because he's assuming that McLeod's going to collect this, and he's right. His goalkeeper should have done better, but you can't fall asleep on the trailing run on the backside. Could have easily been a corner.
I'm wondering if it could have been a little more than that.
That may be a bit more of an ask than necessary from our referee.
Ben Spees also went to CVCA outside Cleveland. Out of Stowe, Ohio. Always respect to those Buckeye Staters. Fans, you can follow North Carolina FC, Loudoun United FC, and the whole USL Championship all season long over on ESPN+. It's your home for USL League One, the USL Championship, MLS, UFC, and more. Al-Badawi laying this off, and it's intercepted there. But more than 2 million fans have already discovered it. So go ahead and join along. Watch the championship live every week, ESPNplus.com. Sorto. Alvarez in his Loudoun debut. Presley brought it down. Nyman. And that struck simply at McLeod.
Much better movement coming out of the middle of the park from Loudoun United. Yeah, Carlos Alvarez recognized that Christian Sorto has got some wheels on him. Put the ball down in front of him, got it back outside, wanted it back, and unfortunately, just the window of opportunity closing down so fast. That's what happens with the new direction gone under Dave Sarakin. We referenced it coming on, how there were too many one-on-one situations last year for Colin Clark. Not the case this year.
Elvis Osmanovic counting down all the ways that Duval Wapello deserves his first yellow and his first appearance in the league this year.
If you're going to get one, you might as well go in hard, right? I mean, this comes in really difficult up over the back, making friends with Moses Nyman right in the middle of the field. Your holding midfielder just introducing himself. Took him 65 minutes, but eventually got his reward.
Presley will come out.
Coming out of the game for Loudoun, number 12, Connor Presley. Joining the game, number 35, Ted Cu-Di-Pietro comes on. Joined the team on June the 4th, has now played in 3 straight games. Wapello picks up the yellow card. And just like that, Loudoun is out of substitutes. They've used all 3 to try and chase the game here.
The energy level just wasn't enough from the starting 11 that Ryan Martin had put on the field. That's where the reference came about the 60th minute. I said we've hit a gray area here. We're 15 minutes into the second half. Nobody was willing to take over. North Carolina will take that look. They have no problem being out in front by 1 and just making the youngsters chase this game a little bit. The inexperience has opened things up on the attacking third for the boys in the blue jerseys.
Spees recovers. Al-Badawi. The whole field is his oyster. Ward backing in, tracking back on the run. Spees. Cristo trying to bring that down. And the offside flag up again, the great nemesis of Robbie Cristo.
You can disagree with the linesman here. However, you should be more impressed by the defending of Pibo Due on the back line. Cristo coming back across, all 6'4" of them, challenging Pibo Due, the outside back who had rotated in. Standing at only 5'10", did a good job to play the angle game and really utilize his momentum a bit. His stature much smaller than what you're getting out of Cristo up top. They're still able to push him off regardless of whether or not the linesman raised the flag.
All knocked over the top and brought down by Sorto. That'll run out for a Loudoun United corner. Elsewhere tonight, Memphis-Nashville playing in an all-Tennessee affair. That starts 8:30 Eastern. El Paso, San Antonio, Copa Tejas. OKC Reno is tonight's nightcap. And Swope Park and Hartford kicked off about half an hour ago. All those good feelings for Hartford, they're gone. It's 2-0 to Swope Park. The goals from Felipe Hernandez and Kellen Rowe, the longtime New England Rev man. It's picked up by Martinez, and he floats it over Hawkins.
It's kind of been the way the season has gone for Hartford Athletic recently. Started all those games on the road, started to get some momentum going in their direction. Oh, by the way, reality check on the road at Memphis, 4-1. They come back, home opener for their new stadium. They get the great victory against Indy 11, and then just like that, you come back down to reality.
Jimmy Nielsen said just last week that they thought they had turned the corner, and then they lost either 4-0 or 4-1 to Bethlehem Steel, and they realized there was still a long way to go for Hartford Athletic, but they opened up Dillon Stadium to a 5,500-seat sellout. North Carolina trying to attack here. It's left off toward the penalty spot and lifted away from Miller on that long run. Yamakani Chester getting forward again.
Another one of those boys on loan from MFK Viskov. The trailing run of Stephen Miller. He didn't react quick enough. Thought he wasn't going to get to the end line, and then all the space that was just outside of the 6 closed down by two gentlemen in red jerseys.
Al Badawi looking for Chester. Nick McCoy, who came on for the injured Caleb Duvernay earlier on. Duvernay just a week shy of his 23rd birthday, picked up a potentially nasty injury. First glance just looked at both of us like dead leg. We hope that's all it is. Chester's been a menace. And this lifted away from him as a substitute, Cu Di Pietro. Then lost it to Guillen.
I want to point something out to everybody of how this eventually just progressed, and what I say that is in all due respect to Aaron Guillen. He plays this so well. Chester does not play the initial ball in the overlapping run. When the deflection comes through, Guillen recognizes that he's in an offside position, something that's not going to show up in your stat book. So he stays off of it. Chester then tracks back in, and they're able to keep the play down here instead of Guillen following the deflection. When he was behind the back line, linesman would have raised the flag, would have been an easy free kick to go the other direction for Loudoun. Instead, they're still on the ball.
DJ Taylor on the ball. And lifting, Cristo heads it over Miller, and it's collected here by Brown. You can tune in ESPN3, the site again for Wednesday Night Soccer, July the 24th. Special afternoon edition, matinee of Wednesday Night Soccer. Surging Reno 1868 FC storms into Orange County. They meet an OCSC side looking to climb a little bit closer to a playoff spot. You can see it all July the 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN3. Slipped ahead here. Murphy won't latch on. Wapello. I wouldn't say Wapello's blown me away, but he hasn't done anything wrong in this game and is a number 6. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Cristo. Oh, there's Chester. There's Chester's goal. He's been phenomenal since coming on as a sub. He's got his reward.
The outside back from Loudoun United, Akeem Ward, has been tested all night long. Iwolo had a nice run in the first half. Couldn't carry that momentum into the second. Dave Sarakin goes to his bench, makes a change. Yamakani Chester comes in. How good has he been? Lovely touch out in front here. Ball from Miller coming out of the middle. Could have been a bit quicker, but very well done by Chester to set himself up appropriately. Standing foot only. This is what you get from your training sessions. And just tucks it away in the bottom corner. That was icing on the cake for this North Carolina squad. The light at the end of the tunnel is definitely within reach.
How fun is Yamakani Chester to watch, man? He has been a dynamic player right from the jump since coming on. Goodness. He took over for Iwolo, and it has been a long night for Akeem Ward, no doubt.
Well, notice how he took the reins and went further. He said, okay, you've laid the groundwork. Now I'm going to push this kid to the next limit. That's exactly what's gone on with Akeem Ward. And to be honest, Ward's actually dropped a little bit, so we saw some of the movement that you wanted to, but he doesn't have the help on that side of the field. That's where as a center back in Saravia and Hawkins, you have to shield over a little bit, better communication, give him some weak side help. Even the sub coming from Kudu Pietro can come back a little bit and help out. That's not the case. Once again, the one-on-one gets exploited. North Carolina get their reward.
Well, North Carolina FC a 2-goal lead as they look to make it 9 out of 10 unbeaten. This has been a really impressive run by North Carolina over the last 2 months. They are the Eastern Conference's 4th-ranked team coming in. They could be level on points with 3rd. They're the 3rd best defense in the conference. Picked up 6 shutouts. This could be 7 in a stretch of be now 19 games. Oh man, Chester with track speed, holding on, firing, oh, that's excellent! Chester, all on his own. Live your dreams, young man, 3-0 to North Carolina. I found your goal of the week. Yamakani Chester, oh my goodness.
With plays like this, he'll back it up. Could be the player of the week. Lovely little touch out in front. And notice, he doesn't try and play games here. He just puts it out in front of him, uses that pace to his advantage. There's the backline help from Saravia. Unfortunately, it's too late. The explosion going the other direction. Second touch out in front. There's a bit of a pull by the center back to try and make his way back into this 1v1, but it's too little, too late. Yamakani Chester, take a bow.
FC goal from number 11. I say Yamakani, you say Chester. Yamakani.
3 goals in 12 games and 2 tonight. Wow. This MFK Viskov, do they have any spare players? They have all played an excellent game tonight. Iwolo, Wapawo, and now Chester. Chester's dream always to play overseas. Came up in Malawi with his childhood club, Wanderers, at the age of 24. He's gotten a great opportunity here in North Carolina under Dave Sarakin. The 2 finishes he had, Devin, so often you see players come into this league from, in this case, the 3rd division of the Czech Republic. This guy's Malawi Player of the Year. That's such a cultured finish. You can find some really impressive talent in some unexpected places.
You take a look at his body of work in general and all the different looks that he's given you, where now you've seen the speed, where he's willing to run at people. He's done it with the ball out in front of him, but also with the ball at his feet. He's shown what he can do from distance to judge the back line and also the goalkeeper and his location relative to the 8x8. And we saw the clinical ability in and around the top of the 6. Ball makes its way back in. That first touch could only be perfect to set himself up. It's exactly where it ends up. He can pick his corner. He goes near side on his first goal and gets his brace in the span of 2 minutes.
Hey, here he is again, Chester, going back. Attack on here. Sliding down, Ward. That got out untouched. Goal kick, Loudoun.
Rough little turn here on the outside. Nyman trying to play out of the back. Pietro gets his pocket picked a little bit. That needs to be a call, but also understand that He's always going to have the pressure from the outside midfielder when he's dropping back in. The runner's going to check with you. And his boys in front of him have to do a better job of letting him know where the pressure is coming from. That didn't happen. Well done by Chester to go the other direction. And credit to DJ Taylor just now, recognizing the ball rotating back outside. Little touch. Loudoun able to retain possession, though.
This lifted away. The leaping effort by Igbekoy. Igbekoy playing as a center back. Colin Clark saw him more as a holding midfielder. Played 6 games last year, came on due to injury in this game. It's his 8th appearance this year.
That's where Dave Sarakin has used him the most, in the middle of the field next to the likes of Austin DeLuz and Ben Spies. Gives you that defensive look that you want to. You can stack it as a diamond, go flat, or you can get what you're getting out of the boys in blue tonight, where Wapo just sitting a bit further, holding that 6, and then allowing the midfield to go forward in the likes of Nazmi and Ben Spies. Igbekoy doing a good job when he's in unfamiliar territory on that back 4.
Miller, North Carolina looking for a dagger. Taylor crossing in front. That is a tremendous save by Brown, point blank. There's blood in the water right now in North Carolina. Really giving it to Loudoun. Alvarez. Sorto. That'll run too far. This is a great save by Brown a moment ago.
As corny as it may sound, we've already given you what is probably the player of the week and possibly the goal of the week. Why not the save of the week? Everything that's gone on for Callie Brown tonight. He's been asked a lot of questions. Unfortunately, multiple times he's been out of position due to some lackluster performances on his back line. When he's had to make the saves, he couldn't step up to him. There's Ben Spies stepping off. He'll get to enjoy the final 10 minutes from the bench. And Dre Fortune, who's been on a nice run himself, will get a run in with 10 minutes ago.
13th appearance, 3rd off the bench. By the way, you mentioned Austin DeLuz a moment ago, not in the 18 tonight, but did want to mention that an organization that he's helped spearhead. More on that in a moment. Chester is off and running for his hat trick. Chester! We'll have to wait. Well, Chester coming up just a bit short there, but playing for pride, raised over $20,000. An incredible groundswell of support from the USL Championship, MLS, the National Women's Soccer League, and going to a really good cause. Credit to Austin DeLuz for all he's done. He's gotten, I think, close to 100 players involved in that.
With everything.
Really, yeah, special, isn't it?
Everything that's going on for this midfield. We haven't brought up Austin DeLuz yet, of course, still making his way back from that ankle injury. Got an opportunity to have a run last week in the 18 coming off the bench as the rotation back. Alvarez, there's the backside challenge, and then one more from Chester coming up. And Austin DeLuz, I always make the reference to him. I've said it to his face, but also on multiple conference calls, I call him Captain America. He's a guy that, whether it's his playing performances, what he does in the locker room, or in the community, every single person that runs into this guy just says what a stand-up person he is, and the character always pushing him to a higher level. It's contagious as well, as he has gotten so many people around him involved.
Yeah. Sorto lifting, pounds down in front, and there's a push there, so a free kick the other way for North Carolina. The money that they did raise went to the Human Rights Campaign. He gave $2 per game played, $3 per start, $4 per assist, and $5 per goal, which adds up with time, doesn't it? But a guy who went to Wake Forest, guy from Winston-Salem in North Carolina. I mean, you want to say Captain America, but you might as well say, you know, Captain Tar Heel State, Captain Tobacco Road, whatever you want to say. He is North Carolina through and through.
Did venture out for 1 year, had a little fun in Orlando. I believe he was with our good friend Jamie Watson that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2014.
Yep. We'll have to ask him about that one. We've never made the conversation down that tunnel before.
Here comes Chester. Chester. He is at some kind of game, and he's played through Cristo. Coming out with a clever effort to stymie that, Callie Brown. North Carolina, when they're playing at their best right now, looks as tough as an out as anybody in the East. Stack them up against Indy, Red Bull 2, Tampa Bay, Louisville. You go right down the list, and I don't know that you want to see North Carolina and Cary the way they're playing right now.
One of my favorite things about what you just said is all the different looks from all those teams.
Absolutely.
There are so many tactical adjustments to be made when you play those squads, and that really speaks to the body of work that North Carolina FC has put in, and especially the recent run of games. You go back to May 24th on the road, taking down New York Red Bull 2. We talked about that a little bit open. June 8th, they handed Tampa Bay Rowdies their first and only loss of the season, 3-1 at Al Lang. Tampa Bay doesn't lose at home.
No.
Ever. And especially in this resurgence under Neil Collins. And then, of course, you can dispatch teams like Swope Park Rangers when you're supposed to. But Nashville, even the streaking Charlotte Independence. Now, I know it wasn't their best performance, but you still look good on a regular basis. Outside of that Birmingham game, this is a team that brings it each and every week. Took them a little bit of time to get into it. For the better part of 55 minutes, they had the better play. They just didn't necessarily produce enough in the final third. Come the second half, they gave up a little bit of possession, but I promise you, those opportunities look much more nice in front of goal the way things have broken itself down.
Loudoun drives it the other way. Team coming off a 10-day layoff. Runs all the way back to McLeod. Under pressure from Murphy, he'll drive this away. Sorto, quick throw. Finally, Murphy's been played ahead with the ball at his feet. Levels it off. At the feet of Nyman. Sorto. Well, we know he can score goals like that. This not that case.
This is the difference between what you saw out of Yamakani Chester and out of Christian Sorto. Chester, first touch out in front of him, immediately able to hit it. On this ball into Sorto, it actually comes back across his body, has to readjust himself, then try and get around it with his hips to pick out the far corner. When your form gets away from you, especially with 5 minutes to go, a bit of frustration behind it, that's usually the end product.
Picked up by Wapello. Chester chock full of energy right now, having come off the bench. And if you're Loudoun, you've essentially played the first 4 months of your season on the road. Yeah, you've played 4 games at Audi Field, and you'll get another one against Louisville, so 5 games at Audi Field in D.C. out of your opening 17. But even then, you feel like you're on the road. When they get to Leesburg in 3 weeks, their season really goes into overdrive. They have 20 games left, Ev.
Plenty to play for, especially being so relevant right now. Not the greatest performance tonight, but an opportunity with those home matches. The problem is
contact there, but the offside flag had been raised as Ibo Doué went down.
They're going to have to do it against really tough opponents. Was impressed with them on the road last week at St. Louis, couldn't close it out. That ends up 2-2. We know what's going on right now. Let's just go to the home matches, and we'll jump ahead of the Indy 11 match next week. They play home Louisville, home Charlotte Independence, home Battery, home Ottawa. That is not the easiest slate of games. Mind you, that's on the road at Pittsburgh and on the road at Indy. When you squish those in together, you can almost bookend it. So a difficult slate, but it is that confidence that we talked about, that once you step in to your home ground, especially a new one, where you can create your own memories and the statistics start to pile up, legend can quickly turn into lore, and you can start to have a bit of fun. That's where teams really start to find some success.
Carolina looking for their 4th And this shot handled by Brown, who slides down to grab it. When you have 4, 5, 6 games in hand on teams, and I know this isn't the thought a player or coach has, but as a casual fan or as an announcer, you almost look at a road game at a streaking North Carolina as house money at this stage. I'm sure they didn't come in thinking that, but one at least has to think a little bit about that, being just 6 points away from the line.
The way that this team plays and the run of form that they're on right now very much reminds me of the Bethlehem Steel in 2017. Remember, they were able to squeak in to a spot. Now, they had to go on the road to Louisville City, but they had enough wins and showed you glimpses, which is what you're seeing out of Loudoun right now, where they can give them shot down the stretch to get into the playoff hunt, especially with 10 teams. That gives them a much better effort. And a team that can pick you off on the road as well. This is a team that only has 1 win at quote-unquote home, 3 on the road. So they're more comfortable outside of their skin. And just imagine what they can do once they have a bit of repetitions in more familiar territory.
Thrown in and blasted along. That'll carry them out for a Loudoun corner. And all this said, with all the youth they have, as young as they are, Nyman, a 15-year-old, is about to take this corner. Of the 4 expansion teams in the East, they've accumulated the most points in the fewest number of games. Corner Nyman. Knocked away by Miller. Ward. Ward went down easily. And North Carolina trying to pick off Saravia. Played right down the middle. There's a tug from behind. Chester lays it off, and the shot now, Fortune, off target. You have to wonder, if you're the referee, why there's nothing there, right?
This is last man with no attempt to play the ball whatsoever. You'll get a better look. How level is he with the backside? I get it, there's a tug on the shoulder, and this should be a foul. As a referee, I'm probably not setting him off, but I'm 100% blowing my whistle and brandishing a yellow card. I want to go to your point, Mike. That's probably the most impressive thing here for the expansion teams that were put together, the likes of Loudoun, Birmingham, Memphis, Hartford, and they are above all of them. Now, I get it, right now they're level with Birmingham, but goal differential does have something to say about it. But Birmingham, a team that, I mean, I was very vocal about it coming in, black and white. Thought they could have been a playoff team in a heartbeat. I think a lot of people were on that. And that just didn't play out. You know, still plenty of time, but how about Memphis 901 FC? Guys that have Mark Birch, Najim, I mean, serious players. And yet these young kids are getting a run for their money.
Meanwhile, all the expansion teams in the West are blowing everybody's expectations away. El Paso and New Mexico went to the Open Cup quarterfinal.
Austin Bold's in there as well.
At 4th place.
It's crazy the way that they're going 3 in the top 10.
United 2. That's July 27th at 7 p.m.
Wild. Martinez back up on his feet. One of a handful of Loudoun players that were basically not really in the doghouse, just not really in the house at all. Under the previous administration, who's found a starting role since Ryan Martin was elevated. This is a Loudoun team that has more teenagers than not starting on some nights. Chester giving chase. We'll wrap this one up post-game, but a reminder, Orange County and Reno, 4 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday night soccer a week from today, as Orange County tries to get their way back towards playoff position. Boy, they got looted over the offseason. Organ donors for the rich. This will deflect out. Corner, we'll see if they'll allow this one to come off. Nyman plays quick. Ward, Elvis Osmanovic blows the whistle, and ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building.
This was unfortunately never enough for Loudoun United on the road. It was a tall ask coming in against North Carolina FC, a team that has shown in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship that they want to be in one of those top 4 positions come the end of the season. When you put on performances like this, especially in the second half, you 100% will. Well done by Dave Sarakin's squad. Took him a bit of time to get going, though the second half brace by Yamakani Chester. Brilliant performance by him on the left side. Nice win by North Carolina FC, home venue.
Brilliant win. 9 unbeaten at home for North Carolina. They're level for 3rd in the East. We'll wrap this one up right after this. What an introduction this was tonight for many fans to Yamakani Chester, North Carolina's loanee. 2 goals and a 3-0 win for NCFC over Loudoun United with Devin Kerr. Mike Watts, let's wrap up Wednesday night soccer with a look at Yamakani and others' highlights tonight, as Loudoun had a chance early on, Dev, to go grab some goals, but ultimately nice performance by McLeod set up all the heroics for North Carolina's offense.
This is a good strike by Connor Presley from distance, and that kind of was the way the night went. It was at the goalkeeper, never really enough to beat Darren McLeod. Great goalkeeping by Darren McLeod, but the chances were just too limited. And in order to beat a back line and a defensive unit more specifically, because it's this entire team, you have to find a way to challenge it on a regular basis. That wasn't the case. There were 2 in the first half. We showed you the Presley chance. This is from Bustamante. Just a good job by McLeod. Only his 3rd start, rotating back over, outstretched hand. Well done. The great free kick from Cristo in the first half. They're out 1-0, but it wasn't the best from North Carolina FC in the first half. We've seen better, and they would grow throughout this game. Sometimes that's what the best ones do, and it took them a bit of time in the second half. Opening 15 minutes, there was a gray area. Enter Yamakani Chester. You can go into this dressing room and apologize to your head coach that he did not start you sooner. You say, sir, you apologize to me. This is your fault that you didn't put me in. I made them pay. I only had about 30 minutes, but he showcased every single thing that he was capable of. First one, technical finish inside the box. This one, speed, power, distance, you name it. Callie Brown, you're going to let that one get behind you, buddy. Not the best performance on that exact shot, but Yamakani Chester looked brilliant in the second half.
Devin, here are the full-time stats, and Dave Sarakin told us this is the true test of this team after a loss against Birmingham where they felt like they did not play well. the numbers tell the story of North Carolina putting Loudoun to the sword.
It's beautiful. For about 35 minutes in the second half. Promise you the manager's going to say something about how they started and their inability to exploit, to be honest, a lot of space that was readily available to them. But that's the mark of a good team. They always say the second half is when the tactics come into more play. Dave Sarakin showed you that. He found those spots. He went after it a bit further. We said Iwola was good in the first. Chester was better in the second. You get 2 goals from him. You get 3 from North Carolina. They stay in one of those top 4 spots in the Eastern Conference.
So it'll be Orange County and Reno next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. West time, Pacific time. Well, Cary, North Carolina, try picking out the best of these 3 goals. Try picking out the best of Darren McLeod's saves. North Carolina, dominant 3-0 performance over Loudoun United. They're now tied 3rd in the East. For producer Abe Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, Jose Bueso, Anna Reyes, and Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying, thanks for watching Wednesday Night Soccer. North Carolina rolls 3-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.